Beneath the waves lies a hidden chapter of human history. We are about to journey to 25 of the world's most mysterious underwater locations, from sunken pirate cities to structures so strange they could rewrite our past. By the end of this exploration, you will see the ancient world in a completely new light. Was a massive pyramid discovered off the coast of Japan, built by human hands, and what catastrophic event swallowed an entire Roman resort city in a single day? Which lost civilization do you think holds the most profound secret waiting to be uncovered? Off the coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island lies a site that seems to defy explanation. Looming from the deep is a colossal stone structure, a series of massive terraces with razor-sharp edges and perfect 90-degree angles that descend like a giant staircase into the abyss. One face of the formation features two towering pillars, and nearby, what looks unmistakably like a wide, carved path circles the entire complex. Discovered by a local diver in the 1980s, this is the Yonaguni Monument, a sprawling underwater puzzle that has divided scientists for decades. The central question is as profound as it is simple. Is this a masterpiece of natural geology, or are we looking at the sunken ruins of a civilization lost to time? On one side of the debate is marine geologist Masaki Kimura, who has spent years studying the site. He points to features that seem to have no natural explanation, from the two precisely aligned holes that could have held wooden posts to the terraces that resemble an ancient altar or plaza. He argues passionately that this was a man-made structure, possibly a religious site or even a pyramid, constructed on dry land before being swallowed by the sea at the end of the last ice age around 10,000 years ago. If he is correct, it would mean a sophisticated society with advanced stone working skills existed in the Pacific millennia before anyone thought possible, a discovery that would completely rewrite the history books. Yet many mainstream geologists see only the powerful, creative force of nature. They explain the monument's clean lines and flat surfaces as the result of natural sandstone fracturing, a common process in this seismically active region where earthquakes constantly stress and break the stone along its horizontal and vertical planes. The ocean's currents, they suggest, then smoothed and eroded the rock into these deceptively architectural forms. So who is right? The debate continues because the monument presents a maddening mix of both. Some angles appear too perfect, some formations too symmetrical to be purely random. But without a single, undeniable human artifact like a tool or a carving, the truth remains submerged. The Yonaguni Monument holds its secret tightly, a silent, stony sentinel guarding a mystery that challenges everything we think we know about the ancient world. While Yonaguni's origins remain fiercely debated, the sunken city of Heraklion offers no such ambiguity. This was a place of legend, a bustling Egyptian port mentioned by ancient historians, yet it vanished so completely that many believed it was only a myth. For over 1,200 years, the city slept undisturbed beneath the Mediterranean silt near the Nile Delta, its very existence a question mark. Then, in the year 2000, French marine archaeologist Frank Gaudiot and his team, after years of painstaking search, finally found it. Emerging from the murky depths were colossal statues of a pharaoh and a queen, their stone faces gazing upwards after centuries of darkness. They discovered the ruins of a grand temple, towering stone slabs inscribed with hieroglyphs, and the hulking remains of more than 60 ancient ships, their wooden hulls preserved in an incredible state. Gold coins, delicate jewelry, and ritual objects lay scattered as if the city's inhabitants had simply stepped away. Heraklion, also known as Thonis, was not just a story, it was spectacularly real. This city was the mandatory gateway to Egypt, the bustling hub where all Mediterranean trade had to stop before proceeding up the Nile. Greek merchants and Egyptian priests once walked its crowded streets, a vibrant fusion of cultures and commerce. Its sudden disappearance was likely a catastrophic event where the very ground the city was built on turned to liquid. A powerful earthquake is thought to have triggered the liquefaction of the unstable clay soil, causing the entire metropolis to simply sink into the sea, swallowed in a single dramatic cataclysm. The ongoing excavations are like turning the pages of a history book long thought lost. Each new artifact, from statues of gods to ceremonial barges, sheds light on the city's profound religious significance, revealing a place deeply connected to the myths of both Isis and Osiris and the Greek hero Heracles. Heracleion is a time capsule, a city frozen in a moment of disaster, now slowly yielding its secrets from the seabed. Not far from the sunken grandeur of Heracleion, another mystery lies beneath the turquoise waters of the Bahamas. The Bimini Road presents a puzzle of an entirely different kind. This is not a city but a pathway, a half-mile-long avenue of massive, rectangular limestone blocks resting on the seafloor near North Bimini Island. The stones are so uniformly shaped and arranged in such a straight line that they look like a paved road built for giants, leading from nowhere to nowhere. This precise formation has sparked a debate that pits mainstream science against some of the most tantalizing legends of human history. Geologists offer a natural explanation for the Bimini Road. They identify the stone as beak rock, a type of sandstone that forms along coastlines. Over time, they argue, this layer of rock naturally fractured along its horizontal and vertical planes, a process aided by the constant stress of tides and weather. The result was these remarkably neat, block-like segments that settled onto the seabed in a deceptively orderly row. Carbon dating of the formation places its origins at around 2,000 to 4,000 years old, a timeline that fits comfortably within our understanding of natural geological processes in the region. Yet for many, this scientific explanation feels insufficient. The allure of the Bimini Road was supercharged by the famous psychic Edgar case, who decades before its discovery prophesied that a portion of the lost continent of Atlantis would rise near Bimini. When divers found the road in 1968, it was seen by his followers as a direct fulfillment of that prediction. They argue the formation is a remnant of a colossal wall or a foundation from the fabled sunken civilization. The discovery of a second, smaller circle of stones nearby, often called the Bimini Circle, further fuels their conviction that this is a man-made complex. So where does the truth lie? The 4,000-year age creates a significant problem for the Atlantis theory, as the legendary continent was said to have sunk around 11,000 years ago. This site forces us to ask a difficult question: can our eyes and our intuition be trusted over scientific analysis, or is the human mind simply wired to see patterns and purpose, even where none exist? The Bimini Road remains a powerful symbol, a place where geology and mythology collide on the ocean floor. Far from the ambiguous stones of Bimini, a submerged city in India presents a powerful link to a living legend. Off the coast of Gujarat lies Dwarka, a name that resonates deeply through millennia of faith. For Hindus, this is not merely a lost city, it is the celestial kingdom of Lord Krishna himself, a place vividly described in ancient scriptures like the Mahabharata. The texts tell of a magnificent fortified city built on the banks of a river, a place of unparalleled splendor that was swallowed by the sea after Krishna departed from the world. For centuries, this was considered a beautiful allegory, a story of divine power and impermanence. Then, archaeologists began to find it. Marine surveys and excavations have revealed a sprawling underwater complex with the remains of stone structures, massive walls, and geometric foundations clearly visible on the seabed. Divers have recovered ancient pottery, intricately carved stones, and a trove of artifacts that date back around 3,500 years, placing them firmly in the era of the late Harappan civilization. The sheer scale of the submerged settlement points to a highly organized and sophisticated society that thrived on this coast. The physical evidence creates a startling parallel with the ancient texts. Geological studies of the area show a clear and dramatic rise in sea levels around 1500 years before the Common Era. This natural cataclysm would have gradually, yet irrevocably, inundated a coastal city, exactly as the legends of Dwarka's demise describe. For millions of believers, the discovery is a profound validation, a tangible connection to their sacred history that bridges the gap between faith and science. The ongoing work at Dwarka is more than an archaeological dig. It is a quest to understand the kernel of historical truth within an epic poem. Each stone brought up from the depths is examined not just for its age and function, but for its potential to illuminate one of humanity's most enduring stories. Is this the legendary city of Krishna, or is it a prosperous ancient port whose dramatic end later inspired the myth? The search continues as the waters of the Arabian guard a secret that lies at the very heart of Indian culture. The ocean floor holds more than just forgotten legends. It also preserves moments of swift and absolute judgment. On the morning of June 7, 1692, the bustling pirate capital of Port Royal, Jamaica, was known across the Caribbean as the richest and wickedest city on earth. It was a haven for buccaneers like Henry Morgan, a place where gold flowed as freely as rum, built on a foundation of piracy, slavery, and reckless commerce. Then, in a matter of minutes, it was gone. A massive earthquake followed by a tsunami and a process called liquefaction that turned the sandy ground into a liquid, swallowed 2/3 of the city straight into the sea, claiming thousands of lives. The cataclysm was seen by many as a divine punishment for the city's notorious sins. A modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah wiped from the map. Today, that sunken city offers archaeologists a gift of unparalleled preservation. Buried in layers of oxygen-deprived mud, the organic materials that usually rot away have been perfectly conserved. Wooden buildings still stand, their timbers intact. Leather shoes, textiles, and even remnants of food have been found, providing an incredibly detailed snapshot of 17th century colonial life in the Caribbean. Excavations have revealed the original cobblestone streets, taverns still stocked with pewter tankards, and homes filled with the personal belongings of pirates, merchants, and ordinary citizens. This is not a city that faded away, it is one that was frozen in a single, catastrophic moment. The site serves as a stark time capsule of the golden age of piracy, a vivid and haunting reminder of both the vibrant life and the sudden, violent end of a city that dared to live on the edge. The silent ruins of Port Royal show us a city frozen in a single day of judgment. But to find a community lost to a much slower, more inexorable force, we must travel to the coast of Israel. There, beneath the Mediterranean waves, lies Atlit Yam, a Neolithic village that has been submerged for nearly 9,000 years. This is not a city of pirates or pharaohs, but a settlement from a time when humanity was first learning to farm and build permanent homes. The preservation here is breathtaking. Archaeologists have mapped out the foundations of stone houses, ancient hearths, and even a deep, circular freshwater well that was constructed at the very center of the village. A semicircle of massive stones stands on the seabed, a megalithic arrangement that may have served as a ritual site, eerily reminiscent of a miniature Stonehenge. But the most haunting finds are the human remains. The skeletons of a woman and a child were discovered, offering a poignant, silent glimpse into the lives of these ancient people. Analysis of their bones reveals they suffered from tuberculosis, pushing back the known history of this devastating disease by thousands of years and proving these early farmers faced challenges we are only beginning to understand. So what happened to this thriving community? The leading theory points to a gradual but unstoppable rise in sea levels as the last ice age receded, slowly swallowing the coastline over generations. Another compelling idea suggests a catastrophic tsunami, possibly triggered by a massive volcanic eruption far away that flooded the village in one devastating event. The true cause of its demise remains debated, but its existence is undeniable proof of a sophisticated society that mastered agriculture, animal husbandry, and stone construction millennia earlier than previously believed in this region. Atlit Yam forces us to completely reconsider the capabilities of our Neolithic ancestors. This was not a primitive nomadic band, but an organized community with a complex social and spiritual life, one that ultimately could not withstand the power of a changing world. Their submerged village is a time capsule from the dawn of civilization, a silent testament to the first farmers who shaped our world, only to have their own world reclaimed by the sea. The debate over Yonaguni's origins hinges on a collection of features that many argue are simply too precise to be random. Proponents of the man-made theory point directly to the monument's two massive parallel platforms, each with corners that form near-perfect 90-degree angles, a level of geometric precision that seems to defy the chaotic nature of natural rock fracturing. Between these tiers, they identify what look like carved channels and drainage systems, suggesting an advanced understanding of water management. Perhaps most compelling are the features that seem deliberately artistic, including a large, flat rock with two holes that align perfectly, which could have served as a mooring post for boats, and another section that some divers and researchers insist resembles a crude, weathered human face, a totem gazing out from the abyss. These elements taken together paint a picture of a structured, ceremonial space, not a random geological event. For those who believe, this is the core of a pyramid complex, a sacred site constructed by a people whose name and history are now lost to the sea. However, the scientific counterargument is equally persuasive. Geologists who have studied the site explain that the sandstone in this region is crisscrossed with natural vertical and horizontal fractures. When this rock is subjected to constant, powerful tidal currents and frequent, strong earthquakes, it breaks along these pre-existing lines of weakness. The result can be remarkably clean, straight edges and flat surfaces that look engineered. The so-called carved channels are likely just these natural fractures, widened and smoothed by millennia of erosion. The human face and totem, they suggest, are classic examples of pareidolia, the human brain's innate tendency to see familiar patterns, especially faces, in random shapes. To demonstrate this, they point to other, similar rock formations around Yonaguni Island that are unquestionably natural, yet display the same sharp angles and block-like appearance. So we are left with a profound choice: to trust the compelling, almost intuitive feeling that we are walking through the ruins of an ancient plaza, or to accept the cold, hard logic of geological processes. The Yonaguni Monument offers no easy answers, only a silent, stony riddle that challenges our very definition of what is natural and what is made by human hands. The silent stones of Atlit Yam give us a glimpse of a Neolithic village, but for a true city, we must dive into the cerulean waters off the coast of southern Greece. Here lies Pavloptri, a name that echoes with an almost unimaginable antiquity. This is not a town or a settlement, but the world's oldest known submerged city, a fully planned urban center that thrived for thousands of years during the Bronze Age. Its foundations sank beneath the waves around 3,000 years ago, yet its layout remains so perfectly intact that you can still walk its streets if you had gills. The grid of stone walls, the outlines of buildings, central courtyards, and even graves are all clearly visible on the sandy seabed. This incredible preservation is a direct result of its submergence. While cities on land were constantly built over, destroyed by war, or scavenged for stone, Pavloptri was gently covered by sand and sea, creating a time capsule frozen in a moment from over 5,000 years ago. It is a complete, undisturbed blueprint of a Mycenaean town, offering a unique window into the dawn of urban life. Modern archaeologists use photogrammetry and precise underwater mapping to create three-dimensional models of the city, and these digital reconstructions bring its bustling past to life. The research reveals a society deeply connected to the sea, with a complex economy based on weaving and dyeing textiles, likely a vibrant purple from local sea snails, and trading with other powers across the Mediterranean. The very design of the city, with its organized streets and separate areas for workshops, homes, and ceremonies, speaks volumes about a sophisticated social structure where community and commerce were carefully planned. Pavloptri is more than a collection of ruins. It is a cornerstone of underwater archaeology, a sunken map that allows us to understand not just how these ancient people built, but how they lived, worked, and connected with their world. Deep within the cold, dark waters of Lake Michigan, a sonar scan revealed something that should not be there. While surveying the lakebed for shipwrecks, archaeologists discovered a series of large stones arranged in a deliberate circle. This formation, resting under 40 feet of water, has been called an underwater Stonehenge, a name that captures both its mystery and its scale. But the most startling detail was found on one particular stone. Etched into its surface is a crude but recognizable carving, a depiction of a mastodon, a prehistoric creature that vanished from North America over 10,000 years ago. This single image catapults the site from a curious geological arrangement into a potential archaeological revolution. Could this circle be a prehistoric hunting blind, a place where ancient hunters waited for migrating herds when the lake's water levels were far lower and this was dry land? Or was it a ceremonial site, a sacred space for rituals connected to the great beasts that roamed the continent? The challenges of studying this site are immense. The deep, frigid water and limited visibility make traditional excavation incredibly difficult. Furthermore, the stones themselves are not ideal for carbon dating, the primary method for determining the age of organic materials. Without any artifacts like tools or charcoal fragments found in direct association with the circle, placing it firmly on a human timeline remains the central obstacle. This lack of definitive proof fuels the skepticism from many mainstream experts. They propose that the stones could be a natural glacial deposit left behind by retreating ice sheets, and that the mastodon carving might be nothing more than the product of pareidolia, our brain's tendency to see familiar shapes in random marks, amplified by the distorting effects of water and erosion. Yet the arrangement feels intentional, and the potential carving is hauntingly specific. This North American enigma forces us to confront a profound possibility that a sophisticated human culture, capable of creating permanent stone structures and complex art, existed in the heart of the continent millennia earlier than our current historical models suggest. The circle waits in the silent dark, a puzzle at the bottom of a lake, guarding a secret that could rewrite the ancient story of America. While the circle in Lake Michigan remains a contested secret, the sunken city of Baiae presents a different kind of mystery, one of opulence preserved by the very earth it was built upon. In the Bay of Naples, the ruins of this legendary Roman resort city now lie partially submerged, creating an underwater museum of breathtaking beauty and historical resonance. This was not a city lost to a sudden cataclysm, but one that succumbed to a slow, powerful geological process known as bradysism. The land here is volcanic, a vast chamber of molten rock and shifting pressures that causes the ground to gradually rise and fall over centuries. For Baiae, the land eventually sank and the sea gently claimed its streets and villas. In its heyday, Baiae was the ultimate playground for the Roman elite, a place where emperors like Nero and Julius Caesar came to indulge in its natural thermal springs and engage in legendary excess. Ancient writers spoke of its unparalleled luxury and rampant vice, a resort where political deals were made and fortunes were squandered in a haze of hedonism. Today, snorkelers and divers can float over this sunken wonderland. They glide across the mosaic floors of sprawling villas, their intricate patterns still vibrant beneath the clear water. They weave between the crumbled walls of ancient baths and peer at the stone bases of grand temples, all now home to schools of shimmering fish and soft corals. A statue of a nymph or a god might appear from the seabed, its stone face gazing up through the dappled light. This is the Bayi Archaeological Park, a place where history and marine life have merged into a single, hauntingly beautiful experience. The city's descent into the sea effectively protected it from the stone scavengers and urban development that destroyed so many other Roman sites. Its very sinking preserved a perfect snapshot of its decadent peak. To swim through Bayi is to witness the ghost of the Roman Empire's greatest indulgence, a place where the pursuit of pleasure was so intense that the earth itself seemed to have passed judgment, swallowing the evidence of its corruption only to gift it back to us centuries later as an underwater sanctuary. A similar enigma rests at the bottom of a lake in the heart of Europe. In the deep, cold waters of Lake Constance, a body of water shared by Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, sonar surveys have revealed a landscape that defies easy explanation. Scattered across the lakebed are hundreds of mysterious stone mounds, each roughly the size of a small car. These are not randomly placed, they are arranged in long, deliberate lines that stretch across the underwater plane, a formation that immediately suggests intelligent design rather than natural chance. The discovery of these underwater cairns has ignited a fierce debate among archaeologists and geologists, a classic conflict between human ingenuity and the power of nature. Were these structures built by ancient people, or are they simply the work of a retreating glacier? The argument for a human origin is compelling. Proponents suggest these cairns could have served as fishing structures, creating artificial reefs to attract fish into manageable areas for netting or spearing. Alternatively, they might have been ceremonial platforms, foundations for dwellings built on stilts over the water, or even burial sites for a lost community. This theory gains significant traction from carbon dating of artifacts found in the surrounding region, which confirms human presence in the area thousands of years ago. During the last ice age, the water levels of Lake Constance were dramatically lower, meaning the ground where these cairns now sit was once dry, accessible land. This timeline opens a tantalizing possibility that a prehistoric society, living and hunting on this exposed plain, took the time to meticulously construct these hundreds of stone lines for a purpose we can only guess at. Yet the opposing view offers a powerful, purely geological explanation. Skeptics point to the region's glacial history, arguing that these cairns are nothing more than moraine deposits. As the massive ice sheets that carved out the lake basin retreated, they could have dropped these piles of stone and debris in their wake. The seemingly orderly lines, they suggest, might be the result of the glacier's movement, creating parallel ridges of rubble known as De Geer moraines. From this perspective, the cairns are a fascinating natural phenomenon, a ghost image of the Ice Age imprinted on the lake floor. So we are left with a haunting question. Are we looking at the ruins of a forgotten human settlement, a place where ancient people gathered for ritual or survival? Or is this a spectacular illusion, a perfect example of how nature can create patterns that mock our desire to find meaning in the stones? The cairns of Lake Constance hold their secret in the silent dark, a submerged riddle waiting for a key. High in the Tian Shan Mountains of Kazakhstan, a forest stands frozen in time beneath a turquoise lake. This is Lake Kindy, a place where a natural disaster created a scene of haunting beauty. In 1911, a massive earthquake shook the region, triggering an enormous limestone landslide that cascaded down a gorge, acting as a natural dam. The valley behind it quickly filled with rainwater and mountain spring water, submerging a vibrant forest of Schrenk spruce trees entirely. The trees did not rot. Instead, the intensely cold water at this high altitude acted as a perfect preservative, halting their decay and leaving them suspended in a liquid grave. Today, the result is one of the most surreal landscapes on the planet. From the surface, Lake Kindy is a mirror of stunning blue-green, but piercing through this calm are the bare, ghostly trunks of the drowned trees. Their branches, stripped of bark and needles by the water, rise like the masts of a phantom fleet or the bleached bones of a giant's forest. For divers, descending into this world is an otherworldly experience. They can swim amongst the towering trunks, gliding through a silent, sunken grove where light filters down in shimmering rays. The water is so clear and cold that visibility is extraordinary, revealing every detail of the preserved wood, which has taken on a pale, almost silvery sheen. This has made the lake a magnet for adventurous photographers and filmmakers who capture its stark, melancholic grandeur. But Lake Kindy is more than a beautiful ruin. It is a thriving, unique ecosystem. The skeletal trees have become an artificial reef colonized by algae and freshwater sponges. Their branches provide shelter and nesting sites for various fish, transforming a place of death into a cradle for new life. It is a powerful paradox, a landscape born from violent destruction that now sustains a delicate underwater world. This sunken forest challenges our very idea of a historical site, reminding us that mystery and wonder are not always found in ancient temples, but can emerge from the raw, creative, and destructive power of the earth itself. The ghost of a Dorian city sleeps just beneath the surface of Alaunda Bay on Crete. Here, in water so shallow you can stand over its ruins, lies the ancient city of Aulis. Unlike the deep-sea mysteries that require complex expeditions, Aulis invites anyone with a snorkel to swim directly above its history. As you glide through the clear, sunlit water, the city layout materializes below, a grid of stone foundations and crumbling walls that once defined homes, workshops, and public spaces. A long paved street cuts through the submerged landscape, its stones worn smooth by feet that walked here over 2,000 years ago. This was no minor settlement. Aulis was a powerful and prosperous city-state, minting its own distinctive coinage and commanding a significant presence in the region. It was famous for its grand temple dedicated to Britomartis, a Minoan goddess of the mountains and hunting who was later adopted into the Greek pantheon as a companion to Artemis. The city's wealth flowed from the sea, its people master traders and sailors who connected Crete with the wider Mediterranean world. So why is this vibrant port now a snorkeling park? The city was gradually abandoned, its fate sealed by a combination of factors. A series of powerful earthquakes likely damaged its infrastructure and freshwater sources, while the slow, inexorable rise in sea levels that followed the last ice age slowly reclaimed the coastline. Over centuries, the harbor silted up and the sea advanced, swallowing the lower parts of the city and forcing its inhabitants to relocate inland. The ruins were forgotten, only to be rediscovered and recognized for their immense historical value. For archaeologists, Aulis is a crucial bridge between civilizations. The city's foundations reveal layers of occupation from the earlier Minoan era to the later Greek period, providing tangible evidence of how these cultures adapted to and interacted with the sea. The site is a living classroom, its sunken walls and paved roads offering a direct physical connection to a past that feels both distant and immediately present. To float above Aulis is to witness the quiet, enduring evidence of a city that thrived, faded, and ultimately returned to the sea that gave it life. Far from the open sea, in the heart of China's Zhejiang province, an emperor's city sleeps in a man-made abyss. This is Xicheng, the legendary Lion City, a marvel of imperial engineering that was not lost to a natural disaster, but deliberately sacrificed to the waters. For nearly 13 centuries, it thrived as a political and economic hub, its origins stretching back to the Eastern Han Dynasty 2,000 years ago. The city was a masterpiece of urban design, with 5 grand entrance gates and towering walls that encircled a labyrinth of streets, all adorned with exquisitely carved stone arches honoring local heroes and virtuous officials. Its very name, Lion City, came from the nearby Wuxi Mountain, the 5-Lion Mountain, which stood as its silent guardian. Then, in 1959, the Chinese government made a momentous decision to build the Xinan River hydroelectric station. The valley was flooded, creating the stunning Qingdao Lake, and the Lion City was quietly submerged, its splendors abandoned to the deep in the name of modern progress. For decades, it was a forgotten secret, a ghost story told by fishermen. But the lake's cold, calm, and remarkably clear freshwater acted as a perfect preservative, protecting the city's wooden beams and stone sculptures from the erosion and decay that would have ravaged them on the surface. When diving expeditions finally returned to explore its depths, they found a time capsule of staggering beauty. Intricately carved dragons, phoenixes, and lions peer from the stone archways, their details as sharp as the day they were chiseled. The wooden structures of temples and grand homes still stand, their beams held firm against the gentle underwater currents. Explorers can swim along the city's wide main streets, glide through the ceremonial gates, and hover before the ornate memorial arches, all immaculately preserved in a silent, aqueous museum. Modern mapping of Xicheng has revealed its full urban glory, a complete snapshot of Chinese architectural and civic planning from the Ming and Qing dynasties. To dive here is to float through a dream of imperial China, a city frozen not by catastrophe, but by a conscious choice, offering us a poignant and perfectly preserved window into a world we willingly gave to the water. The silent preservation of Xicheng is a marvel of modern sacrifice, but another kind of underwater archive offers a far deeper look into human time. Deep within the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico lies a hidden world of breathtaking beauty and profound darkness, a labyrinth of underwater caves known as cenotes. These are not merely pools of water, but the flooded entrances to the world's most extensive underwater cave system, a network of rivers and caverns that snakes for thousands of miles through porous limestone. For archaeologists, these flooded passageways are a unique time capsule, sealed for millennia in a cool, dark, and oxygen-poor environment that perfectly preserves even the most delicate organic materials. Within this submerged darkness, scientists made a discovery that rewrote the story of the Americas, the nearly complete skeleton of a young woman they named Naya. Lying at the bottom of a deep cenote called Hoyo Negro, or Black Hole, Naya's remains were carbon dated to be over 12,000 years old, making her one of the oldest and most complete skeletons ever found in the Western Hemisphere. Her bones tell a story of a harsh life and a tragic end, likely from a fall into the deep pit while searching for water. Her genetic material provides a crucial link, showing a direct ancestry to the very first people who crossed the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia, confirming the deep roots of the indigenous peoples of the Americas. Millennia later, the descendants of these first peoples, the ancient Maya, viewed these same cenotes not as traps but as sacred portals to the underworld, which they called Xibalba. They believed these shimmering sinkholes were the dwelling places of powerful gods, particularly the rain deity Chok. To appease these gods and ensure life-giving rains, the Maya performed elaborate rituals, lowering precious offerings into the dark waters. Divers exploring these cenotes today find a wealth of these ceremonial objects, from exquisite jade jewelry and finely painted pottery to golden bells and incense burners. More chillingly, they have also uncovered human remains, evidence of sacrificial offerings meant to communicate directly with the gods of the deep. Beyond their spiritual significance, the cenotes were the literal lifeblood of Maya cities, providing a reliable source of fresh water in a landscape with very few surface rivers. The very existence of great cities like Chichen Itza was dependent on these natural wells. The geological formation of this entire system is a story in itself, created over eons as slightly acidic rainwater slowly dissolved the vast limestone platform of the peninsula, carving out the caverns that later flooded as sea levels rose at the end of the last ice age. This process created a perfect archaeological refrigerator, where artifacts, animal remains, and even ancient pollen are preserved in layered sediments, offering a continuous record of climate change, human migration, and cultural evolution. Each dive into a cenote is a journey through multiple layers of time, a descent past the echoes of Maya ceremonies into the profound silence where the first Americans met their fate, all held within the crystal-clear, dark embrace of the underworld. A different kind of strategic sacrifice lies at the bottom of a Danish fjord, where the ghosts of Viking ambition were deliberately sunk to guard a kingdom. In the narrowest part of Roskilde Fjord during the 11th century, a desperate defense was mounted. Fearing naval invasion, the Vikings themselves scuttled not one, but 5 of their own ships, filling them with stones and sinking them to create a treacherous barrier across the most vital shipping lane. This was not an act of discard, but one of brilliant tactical defense, a submerged wall of wood and rock designed to protect the important city of Roskilde from seaborne assault. For centuries, the barrier worked and the ships were forgotten, their wooden skeletons slowly buried in silt. Then, in the 1960s, a team of archaeologists made a discovery that would revolutionize our understanding of the Viking world. They located the barrier and began the monumental task of recovering the wrecks, a process that involved building a cofferdam around the site and pumping the area dry to excavate the fragile timbers from the mud. What they raised from the fjord bed became known as the Skulderlev ships, a collection of 5 distinct vessels that together tell the complete story of Viking maritime life. This was not a single fleet, but a curated blockade representing the full spectrum of their naval power and economic reach. There was the Skulderlev 1, a sturdy, ocean-going cargo ship built from Norse pine, designed to carry heavy goods across the North Sea. Then the Skulderlev 2, the absolute star of the collection, a massive 30-meter-long warship. This was a true longship, a swift and deadly vessel carved from Irish oak, capable of carrying dozens of warriors and striking fear into coastal communities across Europe. Its design was a masterpiece of naval engineering, allowing it to sail the open ocean yet ride in incredibly shallow water for lightning-fast raids. Alongside these were smaller, specialized boats like the Skulderlev 3, a smaller cargo vessel perfect for trading within Danish waters, and the Skulderlev 5, another warship, but smaller and built for local defense in the fjords. The 5th was a simple fishing or ferry boat, rounding out a perfect cross-section of a society built around the sea. The painstaking reconstruction of these ships at the Viking Ship Museum in Roskilde provided insights no history book ever could. By studying the tool marks, the repair patches, and the varied types of wood, archaeologists could trace the ship's origins and life stories. The Irish oak of the great longship revealed it was likely built in a Viking settlement in Dublin, then sailed to Denmark, showing the vast interconnectedness of the Norse world. These were not just sunken hulls, they were biographies in timber. The Skulderlev ships dismantled the simplistic image of Vikings as mere raiders. They reveal a complex society of unparalleled seafaring skill, with distinct ship designs for every purpose, from global trade and exploration to coordinated warfare and local fishing. Their deliberate sinking shows a sophisticated understanding of naval strategy and the defense of homeland, proving that the Vikings were not just masters of the attack, but also architects of their own protection, willing to bury their finest tools to keep their kingdom safe. The deliberate sacrifice of the Skulderlev ships reveals a world shaped by the sea, but another sunken city shows a slower, more patient negotiation with the water. Along the stunning turquoise coast of Turkey, the ancient Lycian city of Apelli presents a different kind of mystery, one of gradual submersion. Here, the ruins do not lie in deep water, but instead create a seamless transition from land to sea. You can stand on the shore amidst the crumbled city walls and tombs of a necropolis, and then wade into the gentle surf to find that the city continues, its stone foundations and paved streets sloping gently beneath the waves. This is not a city lost in a single cataclysm, but one that was slowly, persistently reclaimed over centuries. The land itself was sinking, a process called tectonic subsidence, while global sea levels were also rising. The people of Apelli did not simply abandon their home, they adapted, building seawalls and living with the encroaching tide for generations. The city's immense wealth and historical significance came from a surprising source, a small sea snail. Apelli was a key producer of Tyrian purple dye, a substance so rare and valuable in the ancient world that it was worth more than its weight in gold. The dye was extracted from the glands of the murex snail, a painstaking and foul-smelling process that required thousands of snails to produce just a single gram of the vibrant purple pigment. This color became synonymous with imperial power and royalty, from Roman senators to Byzantine emperors, and the industry funded Apelli's prosperity for over 1,000 years. The city's submerged structures now offer archaeologists a continuous, unbroken record of urban life. On land, you see the Hellenistic-era tombs and early Roman walls, but as you move into the water, you are walking through the later Byzantine additions, the harbor facilities, and the vats that may have been used in the dye-making process. This creates a single, sprawling timeline laid out across the shoreline, a physical map of the city's entire history from its founding around the 4th century before the Common Era to its final days. Apelli is a powerful testament to human resilience and adaptability, a community that thrived for millennia by harvesting the sea, only to be ultimately, gently enveloped by it. The relentless sea that preserved Apelli for centuries shows a different, more destructive face along the coast of England. Here, the story is not one of gentle subsidence, but of violent, systematic annihilation. The medieval port city of Dunwich was once a titan of commerce, a bustling hub that rivaled London in both wealth and importance. It boasted a grand harbour, a mint, dozens of churches, monasteries, and a network of thriving streets, all protected by powerful walls. For centuries, it was a cornerstone of English trade and religion. Then the coastline began to fight back. A series of colossal storms in the 13th and 14th centuries, combined with the fragile, eroding cliffs upon which the city was built, initiated a slow-motion catastrophe. Great chunks of the town, including entire parishes, simply calved off into the churning North Sea. The harbor silted up, the economy collapsed, and the people fled, until all that remained of the glorious city was a tiny, quiet village, a ghost of its former self. Today, modern marine archaeology is mapping this English Atlantis. Sophisticated sonar surveys have painted a startling picture of the seafloor, revealing the ghostly outlines of Dunwich's drowned streets, the foundations of its lost churches, and the crumbled walls of its monastic buildings, all lying in the murky depths. These digital maps are a poignant blueprint of a vanished world, allowing us to trace the layout of a city that has been a legend for centuries. Local folklore speaks of the Dunwich Bells, a haunting legend that on stormy nights you can still hear the chimes of the submerged churches ringing from beneath the waves, a spectral lament for the city lost to the sea. Ongoing archaeological projects continue to piece together this puzzle, retrieving artifacts from the seabed that tell the story of daily life in the medieval port. Dunwich stands as a powerful and melancholic monument to coastal erosion, a stark reminder that even the greatest of human achievements are no match for the enduring, patient power of nature. Far beneath the silt-choked waters of the Gulf of Cambay, a discovery emerged that threatened to shatter our timeline of civilization. During a routine marine survey in the early 2000s, sonar equipment pinged back something extraordinary, a series of startlingly geometric shapes on the seafloor. The images revealed what appeared to be the foundations of a vast, sprawling complex, with clear outlines of large structures arranged in a grid pattern, the unmistakable footprint of urban planning. Along with these formations, dredging of the area brought up a collection of compelling artifacts, including weathered pottery, pieces of sculpture, and even fragmentary human remains. If these finds were authentic and human-made, they pointed to a city of immense age. The initial dating of some of these materials suggested an almost unbelievable antiquity, around 9,500 years old. This date is the heart of the controversy, for it would place this underwater city thousands of years before the rise of the great Indus Valley civilization, long considered the cradle of Indian urban society. Such a claim would not just push back the clock, it would force a complete rewrite of the history of the entire Indian subcontinent, suggesting a sophisticated city-building culture thriving at a time when most humans were still in the early stages of settled agriculture. The scientific community responded with intense and immediate skepticism. Critics argue that the sonar images, while intriguing, are far from conclusive. They point out that the Gulf of Cambay is an extremely challenging environment for archaeology, with powerful currents, near-zero visibility, and layers of thick sediment that constantly shift and reshape the seabed. The geometric structures they propose could easily be natural formations. The region is known for its complex geology, where ancient river channels, sandbars, and other features can be carved by natural forces into deceptively regular, right-angled shapes. The artifacts themselves are also at the center of the storm. Skeptics question the dating methods and, more critically, the context of the finds. In such turbulent waters, they argue, objects from different eras can be churned together, making it nearly impossible to prove that a piece of pottery recovered from the seabed is directly linked to a sonar image of a structure far below. Without a controlled stratigraphic excavation, which the difficult conditions have so far prevented, there is no way to be certain that these items are not simply scattered remnants from later shipwrecks or settlements, washed into the area over millennia. Yet for those who believe the evidence is too compelling to ignore, proponents stand by the initial carbon dating and emphasize the sheer scale and organization of the submerged site, which they argue bears no resemblance to any known natural feature in the region. They see a city, a precursor to all known civilizations in the area, one that was likely submerged by the same rising sea levels that followed the last ice age, a cataclysm that could have erased it from human memory. The debate over the Gulf of Cambay structures remains at a frustrating stalemate, a classic conflict between a potentially paradigm-shifting discovery and the rigid, necessary standards of scientific proof. The site holds a profound question just out of reach. Is this the ghost of a forgotten world or merely a geological illusion? Until more definitive exploration can be undertaken, this sunken enigma remains one of the most tantalizing and contentious mysteries on the planet, a lost city waiting beneath the waves to either revolutionize history or fade back into the murk. While the debate over the Gulf of Cambay rages, the submerged ruins off the coast of Epidaurus in Greece offer a more tangible yet equally profound connection to the ancient world. Here, in the clear waters of the Argolic Gulf, lie the sunken remains of a city intrinsically linked to one of humanity's most enduring quests, the pursuit of health and healing. This was no ordinary port, but a vital extension of the sanctuary of Asclepius, the revered god of medicine, whose legendary healing center attracted the sick and the hopeful from across the entire Mediterranean. The city itself was a bustling hub that supported the great sanctuary, and its gradual submersion, caused by the same seismic shifts that shaped this volatile land, has preserved a unique chapter of history beneath the waves. Today, the underwater site reveals a ghostly map of its past. Divers can follow the lines of ancient streets, now home to schools of fish, and trace the outlines of building foundations that once housed the city's residents and visitors. The most stunning discovery is a Roman villa, its floors still adorned with intricate mosaic patterns, their colors muted but their geometric designs perfectly clear on the sandy seabed. The villa's grandeur speaks to the wealth and importance of this place, even centuries after its Greek founding. This sunken city is the missing piece to the puzzle of the famous Epidaurus complex on land, home to the acoustically perfect theater whose whispers still carry to the highest seats. While the theater hosted performances to uplift the spirit, the sanctuary itself was an ancient medical and religious spa, where patients would undergo a ritual known as incubation. They would sleep in a special hall, believing that the god Asclepius would visit them in their dreams, offering diagnoses and cures. Archaeological dives in the sunken city have provided crucial context for this practice, uncovering artifacts that paint a vivid picture of these ancient medical rituals. Divers have recovered specialized surgical instruments, delicate votive offerings left by grateful patients, and tablets inscribed with accounts of miraculous healings, all related to the cult of Asclepius. These finds from the deep provide a tangible link to the methods and beliefs of ancient Greek medicine, a powerful blend of divine faith and early scientific observation. To explore these ruins is to swim through the remains of a place where science and spirituality were deeply intertwined, a city that served the fragile human body and now rests in the quiet embrace of the sea. The crystal-clear waters surrounding Malta conceal a land bridge to a lost age. Just off the coast, the island's famous and enigmatic cart ruts, those parallel grooves carved deep into the limestone bedrock, do not simply stop at the shoreline. They continue their relentless path, diving straight down beneath the Mediterranean surface and marching across the submerged seafloor. These underwater highways, some running for hundreds of meters into the deep, are a silent testament to a radically different geography. When these tracks were carved, the sea level was dramatically lower, and the land that now lies under the waves was a dry, connected plain, likely covered in soil and vegetation. The central mystery is not their existence but their profound purpose. What kind of traffic created these deep, precise ruts, and where was it going with such singular focus out to sea? The theories are as varied as they are compelling. Some archaeologists propose they were part of an elaborate transportation network, used by sledges or carts to move massive stone blocks from inland quarries to coastal temple sites. Others see a more celestial function, suggesting the ruts could have been aligned with solstice sunrises or important stars, forming a vast land-based observatory. The most haunting idea connects them directly to Malta's other great prehistoric wonder, the megalithic temples like Jiwith above Gantaja. These colossal structures, some of the oldest freestanding stone buildings in the world, were erected by a society that vanished without a trace. The submerged cart ruts hint at the true scale of their domain, a landscape now cut in half by the rising sea. The submergence of these features is in itself crucial evidence. It provides a tangible, indisputable timeline, physically demonstrating the dramatic sea level rise that followed the last ice age. This forces us to confront the capabilities of Malta's prehistoric builders. They were not just temple makers, they were territorial shapers who engineered their entire environment, carving roadways across a peninsula that no longer exists. What we see on land is merely a fragment of their world. The rest of their ambitious, mysterious work now lies below, a sunken map of a forgotten civilization's daily life and cosmic ambitions. The pursuit of pleasure found its ultimate expression in the legendary city of Sybaris. Founded by Greek colonists on the shores of the Gulf of Taranto, this was not just a city, it was an idea, a place so synonymous with wealth and luxury that its very name became a byword for decadence. The Sybarites were said to sleep on beds of rose petals, to pipe wine directly through their aqueducts, and to ban all noisy trades from the city to ensure the quality of their sleep. Their wealth, built on fertile land and shrewd trade, made them the envy of the Mediterranean, and for 2 centuries they flourished. But such opulence breeds resentment, and in the year 510 before the Common Era, their fierce rivals, the Crotoniates, marched on the city. The stories say the Sybarite army was so unnerved by the sound of the enemy's flutes that they were easily defeated. Croton did not just conquer Sybaris, they obliterated it, diverting a nearby river to wash over the ruins and bury the city in mud, erasing its memory from the landscape. For centuries, it was a ghost, a cautionary tale of hubris and excess. Locating this fabled city became an archaeological obsession, but the very method of its destruction made the search incredibly difficult. The river had done its job too well, burying Sybaris under nearly 20 feet of alluvial silt, a deep, featureless blanket that hid all traces of the city below. It was not until the 1960s that a breakthrough came, not from shovels but from technology, using a combination of core sampling, which extracts long cylinders of Earth, and sophisticated geophysical surveys that map subsurface features. Researchers finally detected the ghostly outline of the city's grid, a perfect geometric pattern of streets and buildings preserved in the mud. The few artifacts recovered from deep within this sealed tomb speak volumes, fragments of exquisite pottery and delicate golden jewelry that whisper of the city's fabled wealth. Excavating Submerged is a slow, meticulous process, like carefully peeling back layers of time to reveal a society that was both brilliantly successful and tragically flawed. It represents the ultimate rise and fall, a powerful reminder that even the greatest wealth can be washed away, leaving only a mystery buried in silt and water. The Black Sea holds its breath in a layer of water untouched by time. Below a certain depth, this inland sea becomes anoxic, a world completely devoid of oxygen. In this sterile, silent darkness, wood does not rot and organic matter does not decay. It is the perfect preservation chamber, a submerged museum where ancient ships rest exactly as they sank, their wooden hulls, masts, and rudders waiting for millennia. The most stunning find to emerge from this deep freeze is a Greek trading vessel dating back 2,400 years. Resting on the seabed, it looks as though it could set sail tomorrow, its rowing benches still in place and the very mast it once relied upon still standing tall. This is not a scattered collection of timbers, but a complete ship, a ghost from the age of classical Greece preserved with a clarity that defies belief. The lack of oxygen is the key, creating an environment where the wood-eating organisms that normally devour sunken ships simply cannot survive. This remarkable preservation offers a direct window into ancient maritime trade, but the sea's history holds an even more profound secret. Many scientists point to a cataclysmic event around 5,600 years before the Common Era as the sea's true origin story. The theory suggests that as the last ice age ended, the rising Mediterranean Sea eventually burst through the natural dam that was the Bosporus Strait. What followed was not a gentle rise, but a catastrophic deluge, a wall of seawater that thundered into the freshwater lake below with unimaginable force. The sea level of the emerging Black Sea may have risen by as much as 6 inches per day, swallowing an area the size of Costa Rica in less than a year. This event submerged the entire prehistoric coastline, drowning settlements and farming communities that had thrived on the fertile plains for generations. For the people who lived through it, this would have been a world-ending flood, a trauma so immense it could have echoed through oral histories for centuries, potentially forming the core of the Great Flood narrative found in the Bible and other ancient texts. Today, advanced robotic vehicles and sophisticated sonar systems are mapping this sunken world, revealing a graveyard of ships from virtually every era of human history. Byzantine trading ships lie near Ottoman galleys, and medieval vessels rest alongside ships from the Roman Empire. Each wreck is a perfectly preserved time capsule, its cargo and structure offering an unedited record of the technology, trade routes, and daily life of its time. These ongoing projects are not just about finding individual ships, they are about charting a lost landscape, searching for the drowned villages of that prehistoric flood, and compiling an unparalleled archive of our shared maritime past. The Black Sea does not give up its secrets easily, but in its dark, silent depths it holds a chronicle of human ambition, catastrophe, and resilience, written not on paper but in the pristine wood of ships that never decayed. The slow, tectonic sinking that claimed Apoli also shaped the destiny of another great Mediterranean port. On the coast of Libya, the sunken city of Apollonia served as the vital harbor for the powerful Greek colony of Cyrene, a city perched on a plateau high above. Today, you can stand on the shore and see a theater, its stone seats facing the open sea, and the sturdy foundations of ancient basilicas, their floors giving way to the sand. But the city does not end at the water's edge. It continues its graceful descent with paved Roman roads and sections of the defensive city walls now lying just beneath the clear, gentle waves. This is not a city destroyed, but one partially embraced by the sea, its ruins creating a seamless archaeological park from dry land into the shallow seabed. Founded in the 7th century before the Common Era, Apollonia grew into a bustling hub during the Hellenistic and Roman periods, its sheltered port filled with ships carrying precious olive oil, grain, and the legendary silphium plant, a medicinal herb so valuable it was worth its weight in silver and is now believed to be extinct. The wealth flowing through its docks funded the construction of public baths, temples, and the very villas whose mosaic fragments now shimmer underwater. For historians, Apollonia is a crucial piece in the puzzle of Greek expansion, a tangible link showing how Greek culture, architecture, and commerce were planted and thrived on the North African coast, influencing urban development for centuries. Yet unlocking its full story remains a profound challenge. The political instability in Libya has placed this incredible site in a state of suspended animation, making sustained archaeological excavation and conservation nearly impossible for foreign teams. The city waits in a fragile limbo, its submerged secrets protected only by the Mediterranean's embrace, a hauntingly beautiful monument to a vibrant classical past that now remains just out of reach, its history half drowned and waiting for a more peaceful time to be fully told. The furious power of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami brought with it a moment of startling revelation. As the ocean dramatically pulled back from the shore at Mahabalipuram, a world long forgotten was briefly exposed. Lying on the newly uncovered seabed were not just random stones, but the distinct ruins of ancient structures, including fallen walls, the outlines of temple foundations, and even weathered sculptures. This fleeting glimpse confirmed a local legend that had been told for generations, the story of the 7 pagodas. Folklore spoke of a magnificent city on this coast, so beautiful and proud that the gods grew envious and sent a great flood to swallow 6 of its 7 glorious temples, leaving only the famous shore temple standing as a solitary sentinel. For centuries, this was considered just a poetic tale, a moral fable about the dangers of hubris. But the tsunami's retreat proved the stories were rooted in a tangible, historical truth. The archaeological investigations that followed this dramatic event were swift and thorough. Marine surveys mapped the seabed, revealing a large complex of submerged ruins spread across several square miles. Divers documented massive stone blocks, intricate carvings, and the remains of a grand stairway, all lying in the shallow waters. These structures were identified as part of a major port city and a complex of temples dating back to the Pallava dynasty, which ruled this region during the 7th century. This was a period of immense artistic and architectural flourishing, and the discoveries underwater perfectly complemented the magnificent rock-cut temples that still stand on the Mahabalipuram shore, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The findings paint a picture of a bustling, spiritually significant harbor that was gradually consumed by the sea, likely due to the same kind of coastal subsidence and rising sea levels we have witnessed elsewhere. The validation of the 7 pagodas legend is a powerful example of how ancient myths often preserve the memory of real, catastrophic events, passed down through oral tradition for over 1,000 years. It shows us that our ancestors were not just telling stories, they were recording history in the only way they could, encoding the trauma of a lost world into folklore. The waters off Mahabalipuram guard a secret that bridges the divide between fable and fact, a sunken city that serves as a permanent monument to both human creativity and the enduring power of nature. As we emerge from the depths of this journey, a profound sense of wonder settles in. These 25 submerged locations, from the debated terraces of Yonaguni to the perfectly preserved pirate capital of Port Royal, collectively reveal a hidden chapter of our shared human story. They are not mere curiosities, but powerful reminders that history is not confined to dry land. it is also written on the silent pages of the seabed. Each site challenges our assumptions about ancient civilizations, forcing us to reconsider the ingenuity and reach of our ancestors. They showcase the awesome, transformative power of nature, whether in a sudden, violent cataclysm or a slow, inexorable rise of the tides. And most importantly, they act as unique time capsules, preserving moments of daily life, spiritual belief, and bustling commerce that would have otherwise been erased by time. These underwater worlds hold the echoes of cities that thrived, legends that were real, and stories that were almost lost forever. So we leave you with this question: which of these sunken mysteries resonated most deeply with you? Was it the Neolithic village of Atlit Yam, the imperial grandeur of Shicheng, or the ghostly longship of Skulderev? Share your favorite discovery in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest enigmas.